Would you like to know how to deal with uncertainty? I deal with uncertainty every day as a doctor. If you want to learn how to deal with uncertainty, keep watching this video. We're living in a complex world full of uncertainty, and uncertainty is something that's unknown, something that we don't know about, something that has not been decided yet. As human beings, we have a need for safety. We lack certainty. We like to know about things. We like to be in control. Whenever we're facing uncertainty, it causes stress in us. It causes us to feel uneasy. It causes all sort of emotions such as anxiety and fear. The first step to deal with uncertainty is to acknowledge that there's an uncertainty. Once you've acknowledged that there's an uncertainty, you need to accept that there's uncertainty. So it might sound counterintuitive to accept that there's uncertainty, but if you don't accept it, then you can't move forward, you can't address it. So first thing I do is I distinguish between what I know and what I don't know. I distinguish between the known and the unknown. Once I've acknowledged and I've accepted that I don't know everything, that I don't have control over everything, then I can move forward. So the next step is once I've started looking at what I know and what I don't know, then I can reduce uncertainty. If, for example, I don't know much about XYZ, then I can do more reading about XYZ, I can do more research about XYZ, and I have more certainty about what it is. Oftentimes, even if you do research about something, there's still an element of uncertainty. So the next step is to ask yourself what is under your control and what is not under your control. You need to distinguish between what you can control and what you can't control. So many people, what they do is that they don't even distinguish between what they can control, what they can't control. They just feel that they've lost a plot and there's nothing that's under their control. And what they do is that they dwell on a problem, they focus on something that they can't control, and then what happens is that they make the situation worse, they start panicking, and they let fear drive their behavior, their choices. So this is very important. You need to look at what is it that you can control and what is it that you can't control. Focus your attention and energy on what you can control so that you can actually move forward. Let's take a look at the circles of influence. Most people don't have awareness about the circle of influence. So if you look at the red circle, this is what is in your control. This is something that you can change. The white space is what is outside of your control. This is something that you don't have control over. Most people don't focus on the red circle. They're dwelling about the white space. They're complaining about what is outside of their control. When you deal with uncertainty, you need to know what you can do, what you can influence and control. So focus on the red area. Focus on the circle where you have influence and control. Let me give you a working example. The outbreak of COVID-19 disease has caused a crisis, a major crisis around the world. There's so many uncertainties out there. We don't know how long this pandemic will last. We don't know how many people will die from this pandemic. We don't know when we're going to find an effective treatment for this. We don't know when we're going to find a vaccine. And there's so many uncertainties out there, and people are fearful, and it's quite understandable that people are afraid. The main thing that we can do when we're in such a crisis and there's many uncertainties is to look at what we know. We know that this COVID-19 is caused by a virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. We know how this virus is transmitted and how it can spread. So we also know that what we can do to control the spread of this virus, which is why it's so important that we make sure that we wash our hands. We make sure that we create this social distancing, at least 2 meters between us. We make sure that we isolate if we have symptoms. So these are the things that we can control. These are the things that's going to help us to fight this COVID-19 disease. So focusing on what we can control and what we can influence is important, rather than dwelling on what we can't control, what we don't know, and just creating more fear and panic. I can control my sleep, I can control what I'm eating, I can control how much exercise I'm getting, I can control how much I learn about this virus. So these are things I can control, and I can work on these things. But I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. I can't tell you whether we're going to find an effective treatment or not. What I can tell you is what I can do. So focusing on what you can do and what you can control is important, instead of wasting time on things that you can't. Many people during this time are fearful, and what they're doing is that they'll keep watching the news and they're looking at the death toll every day, and it causes more worry to them, and there's not much out of that that will be productive. So instead of doing that, maybe check the news twice a day rather than keep watching all of this scary news, and focus on how you can optimize your health, how you can better yourself, because this is a good time to do it. So you can pick up the habit, and when we actually have come through this crisis, then you can keep these habits. The other thing to do is to prepare, to get ready. So it's important to have contingency plan, because we don't really know what's going to happen. But many people, what happen is that they're thinking, overthinking. So they're asking themselves, what if this happened? What if that happened? What really is important is to get ready and to ask yourself, if this happened, what would I do? So you know what's your response. Because what you want to do is to have a plan, to know what you're going to do if X happen, if Y happen, what are you going to do? Instead of just overthinking and what if that happened, what if that happened, but not having a plan. I'd like to leave you with this quote from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a survivor of Holocaust in World War II. He's a best-selling author of Man's Search for Meaning. Quote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Unquote. I hope you find this video useful to manage uncertainty. If you need to go back to look at each step, do go back and have a look again. Make sure that you let me know down in the comment section how you're dealing with uncertainty. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.